You just don't see them very often, and it's a large cat, and there's kind of a mystique about large cats.
And they're just a beautiful, fairly rare animal and majestic type animal, and certainly demand respect.
It's kind of a stranger from the south. It's a tropical intruder, if you will. It's not a expected occurrence.
I had dreams one time that I would catch a jaguar, but never had I ever thought it would actually happen. Till that morning I walked around a big old boulder and looked in that alligator juniper tree, and there that spotted jaguar was standing there. The size of those forearms. Huh? He's probably. Yes, he is.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, or I'd say less than once in a lifetime, because how many people are going to stumble onto a jaguar in the wild in southern Arizona?
The Lee brothers, which were the greatest cat hunters of Arizona history, they could never get a jaguar in Arizona.
He's got his eyes open.
They've occurred here in Arizona at the frequency of about 1.5 sightings per decade. This is a commercial wild animal lure. I got started out as a lion hunter back in the early 60s, and the attitudes toward predators in those days was more an attitude of elimination than admiration. Pretty soon you've done it for a while and you start admiring the animal more than even wanting to kill it, and you want to learn more and more and more about it. Okay, it's all set for the next time. We check these every 6 weeks. Well, the idea of this hair trap is to put a scent on there that will attract, hopefully, felines. Ideally, we hope to get hair from a jaguar. That's the purpose of this whole project.
The Jaguar Conservation Team has been in existence since about 1997.
The Jaguar Conservation Team is mostly the agencies that have wildlife responsibilities, plus the counties where jaguars have been, and the land management agencies as well.
We've got interactions with the mountain lions and the jaguars.
We meet every 6 months. We usually have one in New Mexico and one in Arizona.
There is no physical evidence. The working group is comprised of almost everybody, including private landowners and ranching community, environmental groups, the whole gamut. Our main goal now is to promote conservation of jaguar and jaguar habitat within the U.S., but we need to determine what that is.
Well, I see one set of footprints going down the country. Arizona Game and Fish has been very, very cooperative. I mean, without them, none of this would have happened. They spearheaded the Jaguar Conservation Team. They had this plan in the back of their mind before we ever photographed that jaguar.
Then we got talked into going to Brazil.
This was killed by a female jaguar. When we went down there to document jaguar depredation and actually learn what a jaguar track looked like or what a cow looked like that a jaguar had killed.
They asked Jack to start this study, and he wrote the paper, started the study, and I volunteered to help out on the study.
He's my muscle and my brain now, and my right-hand man. I couldn't do it without him.
I was still teaching school. I had just retired when he went to Brazil. And so as the years have gone by, I've become more involved in the project.
Yeah, this is 10-10.
10-10, okay.
It just takes a lot of the work away from me, and what I forget, she remembers.
And this is a transect, and we're doing it on foot. And I'm going out with Jack on the transects now and doing his cyber tracker work. And we're going to go to weather.
I think I've got 16 coatis in one shot. We'll have 12 remote sensing cameras that work night and day and photograph every mammal that lives up here, basically. We've gotten a picture of a fox carrying a dead squirrel, rock squirrel. By the way, that rock squirrel was using up more film than anything. I was glad to see him go. I'll go read the exposure number on the camera. We're on exposure number 8. And then someone will do a walkthrough, and that gives us a test on the camera to make sure that it's still functioning. Okay, the camera fired, and now we're on exposure 9. And then after we've tested it, then I'm going to disassemble it, change the batteries, change the film, re-aim it, We have a rock right here in the ground that we put our commercial bait on. We're going to aim the infrared beam right across the top of that rock, so anything that comes by and stops to investigate will get their picture taken. After it's all re-aimed and set up, we turn it on. It has a 5-minute delay. We wait 5 minutes, somebody walks through it again, trips it. If it's still working, we go off and leave it for 6 more weeks.
He was actually going into a crouch right then when I took that picture.
Warner Glenn photographed one about 6 months earlier than we did in eastern Arizona.
This little dog I call B, right in there, the one that just laid down, she was with me the day that we made the Jaguar. That morning we'd started the track, the fresh track of what we thought was a large, tall mountain lion. This big male dog was with me, that's Map. When I first saw this animal out on this bluff, I tied my mule and went down within about 100 yards. And Cheyenne was with me, looked and saw that it was a Jaguar. She was the one that the Jaguars got a dog I call Maple by the side of the head, and Cheyenne was trying to bite him on the foot, and I have a picture of that in the book. He had locked on to me at that point, and I just kind of figured those were the eyes of fire. I mean, he was just looking at me with daggers, and that's when he came to me, and he darn sure made a charge. And then the only other one was Blue. She was with me that day. Every time I look at that picture, I remember that look. It surprises me in a way to see the interest that Jaguar has generated, not only locally but worldwide. I mean, I've had people write me from Great Britain, guys that are doing study on animals over there, and they write me because of the pictures they took, and they kind of think that I might know something about the Jaguar, and I know very little, and I'm up front with them. I tell them that, but I do send them information that I do know and literature that we've gotten together, you know, especially that book Jack Childs and Matt Colden put out. That's a wonderful piece of information.
As a field guide to identifying tracks of cats, basically large cats. And we have distributed that to all the wildlife management agencies, the game wardens and biologists throughout southern Arizona and New Mexico to aid them in looking for presence of these animals.
As soon as the call comes in from somebody that thinks that they saw a large cat or a large spotted cat, we run through an interview, and if it sounds like there's a possibility that we can get some physical evidence from that sighting, then we'll go out in the field to the location where the cat was spotted. It's very hard to determine the size of an animal that you're viewing in a distance. What we have here is a black cat sighting report that was sent into the Jaguar webpage. On that particular sighting, the photos that I saw, it appeared as a large cat. It was hard to determine. It was in the middle of an open meadow. And what it turned out to be was a 30-pound house cat. But if you look at this, it does appear larger than a house cat.
Look at his eyes are green.
The majority of what we receive are large black cat sightings.
We have no records of any wild black jaguars in Sonora or the Southwest.
The black jaguar does not occur any farther north than southern tip of Mexico, probably.
The past records indicate that back to the turn of the century, there were jaguars as far as the Grand Canyon.
Dave Brown cataloged all the jaguar sightings in Arizona. It took him many years to do this, and he plotted them on a map.
Well, the book was the culmination of that investigation, in which the historical research was about 25 or 30 years. And then Carlos Lopez Gonzalez and I did the investigations in Sonora in about 2 years under a Turner grant.
Last year, we got a photograph on one of Jack's cameras of a male jaguar in the south central part of Arizona.
Jack called me up. It was, I guess, about 9:30 at night. Couldn't quite understand him at first. He had a different tone in his voice. He said that we had a picture of a jaguar on one of the cameras.
And I have to give him enormous credit. He kept going back and back and putting these camera sets out there until he gets another one.
We were really excited and just total disbelief.
I couldn't sleep the whole night. I tossed and turned, and
It used to be a mountain lion, it's a jaguar now.
We kept looking at it again and again and again, and
We had an idea that something was going to change in our lives from that moment on. Because you have to share this information, and who knows when you throw the stone in the pool where the ripples are going to go. And it has proved more than we ever dreamed.
right away that picture went out and it ended up going, Associated Press picked up on it.
This is a ringtail. All these slides from the cameras, I've put together a slideshow when we go to grade schools. That's a skunk. And get the younger generation excited about wildlife conservation. What do we have here? Jaguar. That's the purpose of the study.
We're the stewards of wildlife to pass on to our future generations.
Is it possible for mountain lions, jaguars, or other big cats, or even the small ones, to have the same range of territory?
They may share parts of their territories, especially the females.
To teach kids wildlife conservation at an early age helps promote the continuation of all species.
We have new evidence of a jaguar in Arizona.
It's so important that they not only get excited and interested in wildlife, but they learn how to obtain factual information.
Jaguars are very good climbers and can spend a lot of time in trees.
Jaguars are all solitary animals, usually meaning only to mate.
I want them to know about it and to know what their role in it is and what they can and can't do.
When we are protecting the jaguar, we are helping to protect many other kinds of plants and animals.
In Arizona, it ought to be a required subject in the schools. I mean, that's because we're living with this wildlife.
The paws are cushioned by soft pads for silent walking and gripping.
I learned a lot about jaguars.
1996, the jaguar is granted protection under the Endangered Species Act.
Well, I think that it's very interesting that he likes to walk on his toes instead of all of his feet, because obviously he has to hunt a lot because he gets very hungry.
And thank you for letting us have this opportunity to learn about the jaguars.
What we have here is a radio collar for jaguars. There is a procedure that's outlined within the conservation team on an actual capture procedure.
Good dog. Dot. Hoot. I hope the opportunity comes up to where somebody, either over there around in Jack Child's country or over here, and or in between, some of us hopefully can respond and to put a collar on one.
Our goal would be to put a radio collar on that animal and track its movements, and to see if jaguars are staying in Arizona for long periods of time, or are they wandering animals coming up from Mexico? Is this animal just up here and going back to Mexico? And to see, possibly we can determine food habits, all kinds of things with the radio telemetry information that we could gain from an animal.
Ideally, what I would like to see would be an area designation where the animals would not be persecuted as heavily.
You better look at these, because these are half walker and half black and tan. The people that are carrying the load, maybe for producing these jaguars or for not bothering these jaguars, are the livestock operators down here in Mexico. And it's not really fair for us to say leave them alone and let them multiply, and when they're down there killing those people's cattle or sheep or goats or colts or whatever, because those people are working for a living and they look at the jaguar in completely different eyes than you and I do.
Está bueno.
If in fact jaguars are still using this habitat as a reservoir for transient males that will come up here and live until they get big enough to go back to Mexico and take over a breeding area. If this is happening, we want to know about it and take any measures we can to protect this area.
And if we can preserve a little bit of it to keep them coming in and doing exactly what they've been doing for the last 50 years.
We figure that if they're still coming, then everything is pretty good in favor of the jaguar, and if we can keep development from spoiling this, that's the ultimate goal of the whole project.
Well, thank you, Mr. Tigre. I hope you have a good day. We certainly did.